This is every single fight to make after UFC Vegas 57, Tsarukyan versus Gamrot. I've got all of the key fighters from that card on the screen right now. Some winners, some losers. And you may notice there is an empty box next to all of them. And that's where their next opponent's going to go, who I have hidden around the perimeter of the screen. I'll slowly reveal those opponents one by one as the video goes on and place them where they belong on the screen. Let's start straight away with the main event. Arman Tsarukyan versus Mateusz Gamrot. I believe that Arman Tsarukyan won that fight 3 rounds to 2. However, they gave it to Mateusz Gamrot. It was a very close fight based on if the judges saw a knockdown, which did exist in the 4th round, but they didn't see it watching it live, and that's how they score fights. They score it live, but nevertheless, we have to move on. Mateusz Gamrot is the winner of that matchup, and I believe next up for Mateusz Gamrot is not Dustin Gaethje. It's not Justin Poirier. It is Justin Gaethje. I believe that's who he was targeting. The surname gave it away. I think he's calling out Justin Gaethje, and that's the matchup I want to see next in that lightweight division. Listen, I wouldn't mind a Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje rematch, but in my opinion, it just holds up the division so much at lightweight. You've got so many things going on right now. I think they're going to do Oliveira versus Makhachev in the lightweight division. I didn't mind the idea of doing Mateusz Gamrot versus Beneil Dariush. However, then you've got to give someone to the winner of RDA versus Fiziev, and arguably, the winner of RDA versus Fiziev is more deserving than the winner of Arman Tsarukyan versus Mateusz Gamrot, because they'll have more ranked wins. And I feel as though you can't really do Mateusz Gamrot versus Beneil Dariush. Beneil Dariush is number 6. It's such a weird time at lightweight right now, because arguably Dariush should be 1 fight away from a title shot, but he's number 6 in the rankings. It's so confusing to me. I don't know what Michael Chandler's going to do next, so what I would do is Gamrot versus Gaethje, Chandler versus Poirier, Dariush versus the winner of Fiziev versus RDA, and that leaves Justin Gaethje versus Mateusz Gamrot. Plus, you can do it as a fight night main event, and also Justin Gaethje is a good counter-wrestler, as we hear. We'll see if he has good enough counter-wrestling to deal with Mateusz Gamrot. I would hedge my bets that he doesn't. However, it's a different fight when you got that level of power in the hands that Justin Gaethje has, so maybe he likes his chances. I just feel like this should be the next matchup to take place, maybe on a fight night main event in October, or something along those lines. Maybe on that October pay-per-view card, you can have this fight in the feature fight or something like that. But I really want to see Mateusz Gamrot versus Justin Gaethje, and in my opinion, the winner may not earn a title shot, in all honesty. However, they'll just have to fight one more time afterwards to get their hands on that title shot in the lightweight division. Mateusz Gamrot, Justin Gaethje, make it happen. I think it'll be a very intriguing matchup. Plus, you want to make the most out of Mateusz Gamrot's call out. It makes sense. Let's have it going on. And also, he can't take on Poirier because they're main training partners. It's annoying, but then Gaethje can't fight Dariush because they're friends, and there's so many friends right now at lightweight. It's really annoying, but Mateusz Gamrot, Justin Gaethje, they're free to fight each other. Moving on to the loser/winner of the main event, Arman Tsarukyan. He's a young guy, 25 years of age. I feel like because of the type of loss it was, where it was just basically he should have won, but it was so close they gave it to Gamrot watching it live. I feel as though Arman should not suffer. I don't think he should have to drop down the rankings again and fight a bunch more guys to get back where he needs to be. So in my opinion, he should take on the loser of RDA versus Fiziev, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. That guy's going to need a little bit of time off as well. I think Arman should take some time off until maybe November at the end of this year. Maybe go on that like Yuri Prohaska card on November. Maybe Adesanya will be on that card, and we can have Arman Tsarukyan versus the loser of RDA versus Fiziev, which I believe will be RDA. I'm leaning towards Fiziev now, the closer we get to the fight. So, yeah, RDA will take that fight as well, so you've got to make the most out of having RDA as a fighter in that lightweight division, because he will accept anyone, and you've got to take advantage of RDA's willingness to fight anyone by giving him a guy like Arman Tsarukyan. And I think Arman versus RDA can be the headliner of a prelims of a pay-per-view, or maybe on that 4th slot on the main card of a pay-per-view, depending on the quality of the pay-per-view, of course. But Arman Tsarukyan, Rafael Dos Anjos, after he loses to Rafael Fiziev in the Battle of the Rafaels coming up soon in a couple of weeks, and do that at the end of October, November time. Make it happen. Moving on to another matchup, the winner of the co-main event, Shavkat Rakhmonov, defeated Neil Magny with relative ease, submitted him in the 2nd round with a guillotine, didn't really take too much damage whatsoever. I feel as though he called out Stephen Thompson, you're just not going to get Stephen Thompson. He doesn't want to fight a grappler. I think he's been around the sport long enough to kind of earn a nice matchup for himself at this point. So I think Wonderboy's going to hedge his bets and look towards a Mikel Pereira as a guy coming up in the rankings rather than a Shavkat or a Sean Brady or another grappler that's coming up the rankings. So I feel as though they're going to do Shavkat Rakhmonov versus the winner of Luque versus Neil, which I am leaning towards being Vicente Luque. Neil's lost to Neil Magny. Doesn't look too good in hindsight. But I'm leaning towards Luque beating Jeff Neal. That's coming up in a little bit of time. I think the winner of that's going to be looking to stay active. Luque usually likes to fight many times a year to get them paychecks. And Luque's a guy who will fight anyone. And also, if he wins this fight, it's not like he's earned a shot back into the top 5. He should have to fight the next guy coming up. And that next guy right now is Shavkat Rakhmonov. He's probably going to earn a number 9 or 10 spot in the welterweight division. I think if Luque beats Jeff Neal, he'll probably be sitting at number 7 or 6. And that means I don't mind that matchup. Number 9 or 10 versus number 7 or 6. Vicente Luque, Shavkat Rakhmonov. A good matchup in the welterweight division. And again, Luque will fight anyone and take advantage of those savages while you can. The same situation with Arman Tsarukyan versus Rafael Dos Anjos. And I believe this could be on the main card of a pay-per-view, a co-main event of a fight night, a main event of a fight night. If it has a really strong co-main event and undercard, that's a great matchup to make at welterweight. Moving on to another fight, Neil Magny lost in the co-main event. In true Neil Magny fashion. Didn't take any damage whatsoever, and Neil Magny's a guy who likes to stay active, so in my opinion, we could be seeing Neil Magny versus the new Neil Magny. And that guy's name is Randy Brown. Outside the rankings in the welterweight division, he's put together a couple of good wins recently. I don't think he should have beat Chaos Williams, but it was very close. You can give that fight to him. I don't mind that. Randy Brown versus Neil Magny. Good matchup to make in the welterweight division. Very similar styles. They're both basically the same framed guy, but Magny is like the new version of Randy Brown, or the old version of Randy Brown. Let's replace the old Magny with the new Magny. Magny's probably going to drop down to number 13 in the rankings. Randy Brown's probably sitting somewhere at like number 20 outside or 19 outside the rankings. And I don't think Magny's going to be ready to fight in September, and that's when Jake Matthews wants to fight on that Paris card. So I say do Neil Magny versus Randy Brown on an October fight night card in the co-main event, in the feature fight, something along those lines. That's a good matchup to make. Turn Magny right back around, because in hindsight, he didn't take too much damage. He got choked out. Oh well. Get back in there and make another paycheck. And honestly, Randy Brown's not going to grapple you the entire time, so it's a winnable matchup. Neil Magny, Randy Brown, make it happen. Moving on to another fight on the card. Thiago Moises got a big win over Christos Giagos by first round submission, and he called out Joe Solecki in the post-fight interview. So it's just simple, really. Now, would I have wanted this matchup before he called him out? Probably not. There are other like big name guys. I wouldn't have minded seeing a Thiago Moises versus Drew Dober. I thought that would be pretty cool, but at the same time, we've got to get some divisional movement going on. And Thiago Moises wants Joe Solecki. That tells me that there's something sort of going on behind the scenes as to why he wants to fight against Joe Solecki, because it seems like a weird call out to make so specifically. I reckon Joe Solecki probably mentioned at some point in his career like he wants to fight Thiago Moises and test his jiu-jitsu against Moises' jiu-jitsu. So let's do Thiago Moises versus Joe Solecki. I think Moises would win that one, but he called him out, so let's make the most of it. Moises is still a young guy. I think he's like 27 years of age. So let's make it happen. They're both outside the rankings. They both need to win a fight against each other to get a shot back in the rankings, maybe. So let's do Thiago Moises versus Joe Solecki in the lightweight division. Make it happen. Good matchup, good grappling bout. Can be on the main card of a fight night moving forward. And turn Moises right back around and let's get this going. September, October, make it happen. Neither guys really took too much damage recently, so let's get it on. Moving on. Nurmagomedov had a great performance against Nate Maness. Dominated him over the 3 rounds. Didn't get the finish, but he still wants to stay active though. I guess put him on that October pay-per-view card in Abu Dhabi because he didn't take too much damage whatsoever. And in my opinion, there's a guy who has not had a fight in the UFC for a very long time. He came in on short notice and beat Raoni Barcelos very convincingly over 3 rounds. And that's a very, very good look. I think he's just outside the rankings. So if Nurmagomedov wants to fight a guy who's going to get him into that position where he can start calling out ranked opponents in the Bantamweight division, I feel as though it should be Victor Henry. Okay? Victor Henry. in the bantamweight division. Good fighter, very capable, had a great career on the regional scene as well. I think I'd like to see his grappling tested. He's got good grappling himself, so it'd be a good look. He's way better than Nate Maness, way better than anyone else who Nurmagomedov has taken on in his career. Nurmagomedov's a weird name. You have to get into like the beat of the name. You know what I'm saying? Nurmagomedov. It sounds weird if you don't say Nurmagomedov. But either way, Umar Nurmagomedov versus Victor Henry would be a great matchup at bantamweight. And it would get the winner probably ranked number 15 at bantamweight as well. And then if they're not ranked number 15, they should be, rightfully so, looking for a ranked opponent next. So I think that's a good one to make. Plus, Victor Henry is an older guy. The UFC clearly don't want him around, in all honesty. So they'd love to make this matchup. And also, they haven't given him a matchup since he beat Raoni Barcelos. So I think they've been saving him for one of these up-and-comers, like Umar Nurmagomedov. And I think he'll take it because he's an older guy. What's he going to do? Sit here and be picky at fucking 35 years of age? Like, no, he's going to get back in there and take any matchup they give him because he wants to get paid at this point in his life. So Umar Nurmagomedov, Victor Henry on the prelims, maybe the headliner of the prelims or the co-main event of the prelims of UFC 281 in Abu Dhabi in October. Make that matchup happen. It'll be a good fight. Moving on, Chris Curtis got a big win over Rodolfo Vieira in the middleweight division. I think he is the highest ranked guy right now outside of the rankings in the middleweight division. He might earn a number 15 spot anyway, but I think Chris Curtis should be looking to take on a guy by the name of Kelvin Gastelum. Now, I know I mentioned that Nassourdine Imavov versus Kelvin Gastelum should be rebooked, but in my opinion at this point, knowing that Derek Brunson is looking to come back and get back in there, I thought he was going to retire after losing to Cannonier, but he wants to get back in there. So I feel as though, for the purpose of the movement of the division, knowing that Gastelum and Brunson will really take on anyone, again, like RDA and Vicente Luque, you've got to make the most of these guys that are willing to take on everyone. I reckon we do Chris Curtis versus Kelvin Gastelum. Gastelum's number 11 right now, I believe, or number 10. Move Chris Curtis up against a ranked opponent. He's quite old, Chris Curtis, so if you're going to get him to the top of middleweight and have him make any kind of run, it should be now. It's a good matchup for Kelvin as well. It's not like Curtis is going to be trying to take him down. It's going to be a stand-up fight between the pair of them. And I think Nassourdine Imavov should take on Derek Brunson. I think that's what should happen. Brunson will accept it because he accepts anyone. So let's do Derek Brunson, Nassourdine Imavov. That gets Imavov up the rankings and Chris Curtis up the rankings, if they win, that is. And also gives a chance for Brunson and Gastelum to bounce back against an upcoming contender. Chris Curtis versus Kelvin Gastelum. Make the matchup happen very soon. Curtis ain't getting any younger. Let's get him up those rankings ASAP Rocky. Moving up to another fight on the card. Down to another fight on the card. On the prelims now. Carlos Ulberg. I thought I'd break down his next matchup. He got a big win over Tafon and Chukwi. It's a really good performance. I think he's on a 2-fight winning streak now at light heavyweight, so I believe. And you'll love this matchup when you see it. You'll love this matchup when you see it. You really will. I've done a great job here. Just think about this. Carlos Ulberg versus Khalil Rountree. A stand-up dream of a matchup in the light heavyweight division. Two kickboxers going at it, both very explosive. Both can get the finish, and both looking for like another win, and then a win after that that's going to put them in a position to get a ranked opponent at a light heavyweight. So I think the winner of this one, Ulberg versus Khalil Rountree, can start looking for a guy just outside the rankings. Maybe if Kutalaba gets a win against someone, then they can do Kutalaba versus the winner of this. Either a rematch for Khalil Rountree or a fresh matchup for Ulberg to test out his takedown defense. Carlos Ulberg, Khalil Rountree. It just makes all the sense in the world. I shouldn't need to explain this. September, make it happen. Turn around Ulberg real quick. Khalil took no damage in his last fight either. They're not getting any younger. I think they're both on the other side of 30, so make the matchup happen. A big fight at light heavyweight and a striker's dream matchup. Moving on, I thought Mario Batista had a very underrated performance against Brian Kelleher. Did Brian Kelleher the same way Umar Nurmagomedov did, and that's saying something because Umar's looking really good. So I think Mario Batista deserves a little bit of shine. He got a quick finish and took no damage. Another bantamweight who got a quick finish recently on the last card at UFC Austin and took no damage there and wants to turn right back around is Cody Stamann. Such a small face for his head. You really notice it when you get these little face shots of these fighters. But yeah, Mario Batista versus Cody Stamann in the bantamweight division, I think would be a perfect matchup for both of them. Cody's not quite as highly ranked as Victor Henry because of his win over Raoni Barcelos. Cody's lost to a lot of guys, so it's kind of knocked him down the rankings a few pegs. And obviously beating Eddie Wineland isn't the best of wins at this point in Eddie Wineland's career. So I think Mario Batista, Cody Stamann, probably get him going in like September, real quick. Turn him back around, put him on that pay-per-view prelims. Make it happen. Mario Batista, Cody Stamann. I like all of these matchups. Let me know what you think in the comment sections below. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.